Welcome to the Own It Powercast, the place to be when you get serious about making big changes and accelerating growth in your life and in your relationships. Finally create the life you've always wanted, living life on your own terms. Learn how to take your fear and turn it into powerful choices that will create sustained change. Now your host, Mary Baker.
Hey everyone. Welcome back to the Own It Powercast, a place where you can come to get what you need to move yourself forward. As you know, this is Mary Baker, and I'm welcoming you back to episode 35, Your Personal Environments. So we're going to wrap up this month, which has been all about our different environments, by focusing on our personal environments. And what I mean by that is your personal space. That could be your room, your car, your workplace, down to just the bubble around you today. Down to just the bubble around your body. And don't forget, included in that is your emotional and psychological space. So we're going to be talking about physical space today and mental and emotional space. But before we get down into it, I just want to give a big shout out to those of you who continue to share this podcast. I'm hearing that you love it. I'm hearing that your friends and your sisters and your spouses and your boyfriends love it and your coworkers. Keep doing that, guys, because the more we get the word out, the healthier this planet will be. Okay, so your personal space. First, I want to talk about the why. Why do I think this matters, and why do I think we should be talking about this today? When we feel invaded, whether or not the other person means to, we don't feel safe. And we may not even realize it. Sometimes we can be very aware, and sometimes we're not. And a lot of it has to do with our personal history. And if you're not sure what I'm talking about, go back and listen again to some of the boundaries episodes, and you'll know what I mean. And especially for those who have had any kind of boundary violations in the past or any trauma, it's going to be that much more important to you guys. So don't feel like there's something wrong with you if you're a little more sensitive to your personal space, because your subconscious is just getting triggered that you are being violated all over again. That could be emotionally, sexually, physically, or all the above. Even the relational patterns in childhood, like we've talked about in past episodes, where even your thoughts weren't sacred. You were taught what to think, what to feel, what to believe, what to think about yourself, how to see the world, how to see other people, what was deemed healthy and what was not, that kind of thing. So being yelled at and shamed is emotionally violating. You didn't ask for that, and it doesn't feel safe. So the opposite of not feeling safe is people honoring each other's personal space, their emotional space, their psychological space, their time, and their energy. So even your thoughts are your space. And you can kind of tell when you're not feeling so safe, when you have more anxiety than you normally have, or anxiety on certain days, in certain environments, around certain people. In certain circumstances, you'll feel more anxious, you'll feel more irritable, perhaps more depressed. And then the other big thing, here's how you really know, your resentment. Your resentment usually arises when you don't know how to set loving limits with other people. They're leaving their stuff in your space, they're grabbing your things, they're not leaving you alone, they're not letting you read that book, they're tugging at you when you're trying to get something done. So you're not feeling very respected. But rather than be frustrated and angry at them, especially when it's your kids, we need to learn how to set loving, gentle, but firm limits for ourselves with others. If you really struggle with that, I just strongly encourage you, go back to the boundary stuff. Boundaries, again, are a huge paradigm. And it takes a long time to really get them into a healthier space if you really struggled. So don't beat yourself up. Just be honest with yourself about what comes easier to you than other things when it comes to saying no. So there are other invaders where no one is setting out to invade our space, but it just creates a lot of stress, like noise. Construction noise, traffic noise, music, speaking, just any kind of noise that is distracting to you. Other people's emotions, not being able to detach from whatever drama is going on for someone else, or allowing yourself to sponge up even real stuff from other people too much without taking a break, without taking care of yourself. What about clutter? Clutter is a big one. It's not just visually, because visually it can be stressful, but it's also functionally. Even the symbolism and the perception of it matters. This stuff matters. So just the idea that people are not honoring your personal space and they're taking your stuff or dumping their stuff there can feel violating. We talked about energy drainers before. You might want to go back and revisit that if you have some more work to do in that area. What we're really talking about are your personal boundary needs and how you take care of them. Taking care of your personal space, I think, is taking care of you. And it's your responsibility to take care of yourself. We often get frustrated with others because they're not honoring, they're not mind reading, right? But it is up to us to let them know what we need and to set boundaries around that and to say no and to detach from whatever is going on for them. If you have kids, it's up to you, I think, and your partner to teach them about personal space, boundaries, respect, to model it for them. They need to see us doing it, right? And to honor theirs. And that's something I think as parents we can easily forget because we're so busy trying to get shit done, where we forget and we may snap at them or just walk into their room without knocking when they're older. There's little tiny things that aren't really tiny. They're very symbolic, and every little one of them matters. Teaching your kids, I can tell you, teaching your kids, modeling it for them and respecting their boundaries, if there's one thing you can do as a parent, do that. It is huge clinically for their well-being and for all of their relationships for the rest of their life. So it's no small potatoes to do this. And, if you've screwed it up, apologize. Mention it, apologize. Say something like, hey, I'm so sorry. I didn't think about knocking on your door first. I apologize. I'm so sorry I let your sister come in and take your clothes. That's not cool. Those are your things, and it's up to you to decide whether you want to allow her to borrow. And so it just really shows them that you respect their boundaries so that they can respect their own. We are showing them what healthy looks like or not. Okay, so I want to talk about your home space. What about noise? Are there quiet places where you can go? Are there limits on the noise? How loud is the TV in the other room? What about people playing music and talking and running around and playing? What about traffic coming from outside? Look at the noise pollution in your home and kind of think about that for a moment. We might not realize if we've adapted how distracting and stressful it can be until we are in a very quiet environment and then we're like, oh, wow, this is fabulous. I didn't realize. When you're alone in your car all of a sudden, right, you notice, this is peaceful. It's not about judging noise or other people's noise. It's really just needing balance. Clutter is the next one in your home. Like, is there stuff everywhere? Do other people need to pick up their things? Is it organized? Is it neglected? Does it need to be cleaned? Do things need to be taken care of? Maybe fixing or mending or changing? Lots of little things. Doesn't mean you have to remodel. It just means that are your spaces in your home what I call clean and serene? Clean enough, serene enough, not perfect. I'm not going for that. But do you like the aesthetic and does it feel comfortable and pleasing for you? Lack of good light is another thing I think we don't notice enough. Natural light. Do you have enough natural light in your home? If not, are you getting outside enough to get some? But also interior lighting to make it more comfortable if that's what you're going for, to be able to see better. It all depends on what your needs are, and you get to decide what those are. Is it comfortable? Is it too hot, too cold? Are there comfortable places to sit and be? Do you have a place to go in your home where you're not bothered? What are the boundaries in your house if you live with others? Are they honored? Do we honor each other's time and space? Is it normal for you to say, hey, I'm going to go take a nap, or I'm going to go meditate, or you need 20 minutes to do my yoga? Do people respect that or not? Can we even talk about it? Some people can't even talk about it because growing up, no one ever normalized that for them. I'm telling you, it's healthier to talk about it than not to talk about it. Especially when you have the typical scenario where you're trying to meditate, you don't tell anyone you're going to do that, then you're frustrated with them when they interrupt. Then they feel like crap. Setting boundaries means setting boundaries proactively in a loving way. Before you get frustrated, say, hey, I just need to take 20 minutes. Do you think I can have some quiet? Does that work for you? Can we negotiate that? Looking at your home, is there a lack of barriers? Is it a really super open floor plan? Do you have a place where you can go where you can just close the door? You can go into a different room. It's just a boundary, and boundaries are perception. Even a curtain in a doorway, I swear, can be helpful here. And if you can't, if there isn't any place to go in the home, then go for a quick walk, go for a drive, go do something so you can have a little mini escape. Even if it's for 15 minutes, it matters. I often send clients to their local coffee shop or library or park just so they can have the perception, the feeling, the experience of some personal me time. This isn't about anybody else. It doesn't mean you want isolation or you don't want connection. We just need a balance, and we need some space for us to just be with ourselves. And what's really cool is you get to create that and design that, and there's no right or wrong here at all. So finally, the area is your stuff, and I'm going to get nitpicky here for a reason. Like your purse, your bag, your backpack, your car, your drawers, your desk, you name it. And I'm not talking about perfect. I'm just talking about sane, organized, serene, and functional, and maybe even aesthetically pleasing if that's what you want as well. Where is that? Because that can be really symbolic of us not taking time to take care of ourselves. And we can care about it or not, but self-neglect is self-neglect, and it is very symbolic of self-neglect. That's your stuff. And if you're a person who loves too much and puts everyone else's needs above your own, you'll probably find that even though as much as you would like to clean out your car and you love to have it clean, you probably put that on the back burner or last on your list if you even get to it. So this is all about boundaries and self-care that we've been talking so much about on this podcast. It's about giving you some time. And I just want you to think for a moment, all the times you couldn't find your keys, couldn't find your wallet, couldn't find your phone, there's no pen in the bottom of your purse, you don't have your phone charger, the list goes on. What about that piece of paper in those piles you swore you were going to get to? The piece of paper you had spent an hour looking for instead of 5 minutes because it would have been in a file folder in the cabinet. So this is really self-care. It's the dominoes that I often talk about. In order to be able to find stuff and not be stressed out at the last minute, I need to take time in order to organize that stuff. And in order to have time, I need to set that time. I need to commit to that time. I need to have boundaries with others saying, I'm sorry, I can't do that today. I really need to clean out my desk and my files. It's about saying no to ourselves when we don't feel like it and we want to kick the can and procrastinate. We can procrastinate, but remember, at what cost? At what cost? Think about the stress that you can eliminate by just taking 5 minutes here, an hour there, creating rituals of self-care for yourself. We know that a good example of this is sleep hygiene. Having a bedtime routine, doing certain things, not doing others, can help us sleep better. These things matter. We absorb so much from our environments, and what I'm really talking about today is lowering your stress level. I was talking to someone the other day who went to the cardiologist, and her cardiologist was saying how he's been having people go home and stop watching or listening to or reading the news for like 3 weeks and come back in and let's see where your blood pressure is. And literally, some of these people didn't even have to go on meds because they just let go of the news. It was just so stressful. So our personal space includes what are you allowing into it and how well are you taking care of those things in it so you can really work on your stress level and work on your sense of peace. Showing you that you matter and that your needs matter. And if a clean, organized purse makes your life better, then so be it. You need that. We all know what we need, and we're all different. There's some universal stuff. I think for most of us, having things in a certain place where we can find them easier makes life less stressful when you're trying to get out the door in the morning. We know that when we take care of things that belong to us, we feel better about ourselves. But then each of us is also different in ways that we need to feel organized or things that we prefer in places where we feel calm and quiet and at ease, enjoying it, at peace. So how do we do this? Well, I think it's habit, habit, habit. It's about the cool thing about creatively designing your own self-care habits, or you can call them self-care rituals or routines or whatever you want to call it for you. These are things that you can tweak, redo, or change, reorganize as you go. That's what's cool about this. There's no right or wrong. There's no perfect or horrible. It's really how you want to do it. So the way I've broken it down, just to make it simple, are different time increments of habits. So there are daily habits. There's that routine in the morning and that routine in the evening, maybe even your routine at lunchtime where you go for a walk at work. All the little things that you do to take care of yourself. Typically what happens is we're so busy just getting out the door or taking care of fires and putting them out that we're not adding in daily routines. Like, where's your daily routine for quiet time? Where's your daily routine to put stuff away? These are little micro habits, and they all add up. And what I have clients do is start with one. I do this with myself. I'm like, let me just automate one. It's going to take me maybe 20 to 90 days to automate it and get used to doing it. You want to take advantage of your subconscious mind's automation function. Do it until it becomes habit where you don't even think about it and it starts feeling strange to not do it. And you also find ways as you go, you know this, to do it more efficiently. Like putting your stuff away before you go to bed. Putting your keys in a certain spot when you walk in the door so you're not searching for them the next morning. Little daily habits. Time to decompress, taking 5 minutes for yourself, taking a hot bath, taking a nap, taking time to read, taking care of your space and taking care of you. What are the daily habits that you do or don't do and would like to do? So these are things we have to do every day. Obviously, the next category is going to be weekly habits, like once a week, twice a week, 3 times a week. You get to figure this out to attend to things. Maybe it's cleaning every Saturday for a couple of hours. Maybe it's tidying up once a week, taking care of the laundry, taking care of the clutter, doing the yard work. All the things that probably need to be done like once or twice a week to keep things less crazy. Also, your personal space. Are you taking time for you once a week? Do you have an hour or 2 or 3 or 6 where it's just you? And that, guys, that could even be you're going to yoga, or you're going to take that class or that book club or out with the girls. This is still personal space and personal time. I hear from clients all the time that it's really just the psychological, doing it for me and not attending to everyone else's needs 24/7, but taking some time for me, what I need. And again, that could be connection with some friends. That could be physical activity. That could be some alone time with you. Again, you get to create and design this and, play it out. See what feels right. See what you want to change. So then there are the monthly habits. These are things like financial, taking care of your financial obligations once a month so you don't get behind. It's about purging, scrubbing, reorganizing, cleaning. Some people include their small weekend projects in here. Maybe you guys have a big project you're working on and you chunk it down to what are we doing every weekend? What do you know or are starting to realize that if you take care of something monthly, it's going to be so much better? So again, I'm giving you examples here, but I want you to design what works for you. These are boundary habits is what I call them. Yes, boundary habits. Boundaries around your time and energy, boundaries around your money and your space, because, money could be, do you even have any vacation time saved up to take some time for you? Have you set aside money to have to paint the living room because it's dingy and it's depressing you, but you need to have money set aside to do that? Maybe you want to redecorate, reorganize, change some things. Remember the dominoes again. If we don't have money, then what can we do? So all the little pieces of discipline matter. I mean, if you put away $20 a week for several months, you might have some money saved up to redecorate. The other two areas I want to talk about that really don't fit in a monthly, weekly, daily category, maybe they fit in all three, is your car and your workspace. And so your car, if you drive a car, is it to your liking? Is it clean? Is it organized? Is it comfortable? Does the air conditioning work? Do you need to get that fixed? Do you need a new car? And everything in between. What is your routine of self-care for that? Just washing it and vacuuming it, just even getting the clutter out of it can help. Can you see out of the windshield? Things like that. I mean, this sounds really silly and basic, but they're really not. It's about self-care. And if you drive to work, that's your second home. You know what I'm talking about. So taking care of that and making it more pleasing to you matters. Because every time you open that car door, you're showing yourself whether you take care of yourself or not. And if others ride with you like kids, then, teaching them and helping them to clean up too and be respectful is helpful. Your space at work. What about your workspace in as much as you can control? Is it tidy? Is it organized? Is it comfortable? Are there any adjustments that you can make? Even little things. I mean, research shows even putting some flowers on your desk or a new chair or having things organized or maybe putting some color in your space can really affect your mood and your blood pressure. It is physiologically working on taking care of our stress because we internalize all this stuff. It also, I think, can really affect your productivity and your self-esteem at work, and that matters. You want to feel good about yourself. If you feel more organized and on purpose and efficient and functional at work, you're not going to be beating yourself up. Okay, so we talked about all the different areas where you can take care of your personal space. If I left any out, add your own to the list. There's no right or wrong here. There's no discrete number of things. You can have yours different from someone else's. So I want to take a few moments and do a little mini assessment I'm going to do part of it here on this episode, and the rest of it is in the bonus download. So if you're jogging or walking or running or driving, just go grab the download later and write these out. For now, just trust what comes up in your heart. So I'm going to read some sentence stems, and for those who are not familiar, I want you to think of a few quick endings without thinking too hard, just to finish the sentence. Just trust what comes up. It's your truth. It's not the PC answer. It's not what you want other people to think you answered. It's what's your real truth. Okay, you ready? Number 1. If I were to look at how well I take care of my personal boundaries of time, space, and energy, if I were to look at how well I take care of my personal boundaries of time, space, and energy, Number 2, when I imagine having firmer boundaries with others, when I imagine having firmer boundaries with others, and number 3, setting boundaries with myself means Okay, so just know that whatever came up for you, either positive, negative, or neutral, is just creating awareness for you. You can take a look at those answers and see what you think and see where that takes you. Oftentimes people continue journaling with each one and see how much is revealed to see what they need to work on. Okay, so a couple thoughts before we go. First one, if you are doing this, please stop putting yourself last. I mean, of course, other things in the moment are going to be more important at certain moments, like listening to your child sharing something with you, paying attention to your relationships, getting shit done. Absolutely. Some things are pressing. What I'm asking you to do is take some time to sit down and see where you can squeeze in some moments to take care of yourself. And even little moments matter. Do one thing to start with and see where it takes you. I know that the better organized you start to get, you're going to want to be more organized. You are going to want to safeguard your personal space more and more as you go. The other thing is every time you take care of you with the little things, you will show yourself in doing that all the self-love and acceptance and internal self-discipline that you will need to both have greater self-trust and self-confidence. And, well, we're going to enjoy being around you just a little bit more, right? That's the other thing. We are impacting those we love and those we work with when we don't take care of ourselves. And you will make their lives so much better, right? By taking good care of you. And you're modeling good behavior. So please take care of you. This is what we're talking about today. I don't want you walking away from this episode being hard on yourself. If it has been a struggle to take care of you, if you've been listening to these episodes, you know darn well there are very good reasons for that. Don't be hard on yourself. It's also an opportunity for you to make some loving, small, healthy changes. And every little change matters. I want you to think of the long game in this regard. How do you want your life to look and feel? And doing little things at a time, we acclimate, our brain gets used to it, it gets normalized, and we change as we go. So you may have a big list that you start out with, and you're just going to chunk it down and do a little bit at a time. So for the bonus downloads, what I have included are all the categories we talked about today so that you can take pen to paper and do a loving assessment of all the little areas that you'd like to make some changes. I also want you to note where you're proud of yourself, that maybe you've made some changes recently already, or you're just already good at this. Be proud of yourself for that. The other part is going to be your daily, weekly, monthly chart of things that you want to start tackling. What are your little routines? What would make sense? What would you even just like to try? Remember, you can try things and scrap them. The only thing I tell people is don't roll out big routine changes for kids and then keep changing it, because that's confusing for them. So for kids, I would be more thoughtful and do one at a time, practice it, get it down before you add another, and give lots of thought in the designing of that before you do it. Okay, so today we explored the concept of looking at your personal space, your personal environments, and the importance of all the little routines, all the boundaries, and all the tending to that may seem so small and inconsequential on the surface, but they really do matter and they really add up. Self-care, self-discipline, saying no, taking responsibility for you, your space, and your stuff will empower you and lower your blood pressure. So, thank you for joining me today as we wrap up this month on environments. Next month, we're going to get all into beliefs and values, and that's going to be a really cool journey. So if you're already a subscriber and signed up for the Tribe News, you will get the bonus downloads today in your inbox automatically. If not, just go to www.ownitpowercast.com and sign up there. And if you found this helpful, please share the podcast and put out some positive reviews. So, pay it forward. Keep focusing on you and taking good care of you, and I'll see you next time.
We hope you took away some useful insights and tools you can begin using right away. If you did, please leave a positive review and share on your social media. Because could you imagine if everyone in your life really got it together? Remember, own it now, so you can really own it later.